When you consider their incredible fuel economy, their legendary reliability, and their unmatched value, it's easy to see why San Diego has fallen in like with the new Hondas.
Hi, I'm Mike Peterson. If you like friendly service, you'll like Tipton Honda, a dealer for the people. We're off Interstate 8 in El Cajon.
This episode was made possible by Qualcomm. Qualcomm celebrates Southern California's most innovative thinkers. To learn more about the entrepreneurial ideas and bold imaginations that drive the future of digital communications, visit Qualcomm.com.
When combining a business concept with a true passion, it's a recipe for potential success. In 1988, Wayne Lamb and his brothers Ed and Mingo founded Wahoo's Fish Tacos. At the time, they had no idea that they would have over 55 locations and employ more than 1,500 people. But with success comes struggle and hard work.
I was supposed to be an aerospace engineer.
And we put in 80-hour work weeks.
So I was the first cook at Wahoo's.
A family-owned business.
3 brothers.
Building a company so we could serve.
Well, back in the fraternity days, our springtime, we always used to head down to San Felipe, down to Ensenada, Rosarito. So I thought, you know what? Fish tacos are great, but nobody really sells them this side of the border. After graduating from San Diego State back in '84, I did a couple of years out at Rockwell. Then I worked for another couple of companies in the aerospace world and the financial world. And my last job in the financial world, I saw real estate opportunities. So in 1988, I saw this little, hole-in-the-wall Italian place for sale. And I thought, you know what? We need to open a fish taco restaurant because that's what I missed from all the days down in Cabo. I actually did all the construction work with all my friends to build this restaurant, from basically tearing up some of the old stuff that was here and putting all the new things in, designing the kitchen, all that, and using whatever equipment was left behind us from the pizza place. The first restaurant in '88, literally about $30,000 is all it took to buy part of the old lease out, put in some equipment, get rid of some of the equipment, and open the doors.
Wing and I sort of split the company back then. We created it together, but he became front of the house, and I became the back of the house. So I was the first cook at Wahoo's.
Back in '88, I took your order, I made your fish taco, and I served it to you because I couldn't afford to hire anybody else.
I mean, all of us worked at the store at the same time, so, cutting fish, flipping tacos, but at the end of the day, my area, that sort of surface, was handling all the finances for the company.
Well, back then it was difficult because we were trying to divide roles between the brothers. My little brother came on board after the first year. So we actually had to divide. First, you have to come to a crossroad and divide your company up and saying who's going to be marketing, who's going to be the vice president, who's going to do everything else. So that was our first hurdle to come across that. And being brothers makes it a little bit more difficult because everybody wants to be the head of the company. No one wants to be like following the shadows. So that was our first hurdle to get through.
Contrary to popular belief, even though I have a business degree, we never really had a business plan.
You were so busy trying to breathe that you really didn't get a chance to how to really learn how to operate a business. You were just kind of going day to day. Like for me, I was more worried about whether I could get fish or getting the meat inside the stores or even paying for a bill. So you're just more of a scrambling, putting fires out on a daily basis, But it was a lot more fun in a way because you were working and dealing with the public. We wanted to do a business that paid for our surfing. So it wasn't like we were trying to create a business to become successful, become this huge or bigger company. We were just building a company so we could surf.
Back then it was a simple plan. 3 brothers getting together, having a place to go to work, pay some bills, get some surf when we have some time, and any more than one store is above and beyond, I think, any plans that we had. We come from good, hard-working folks. Our parents were in the restaurant business. We grew up. All of us took our turns working at the Chinese restaurants. When we came into our own business, we had no problems. Like I said, we used to cut our own fish. Toilet's broken, you stick your elbow in there and fix it. So work ethic, I got to attribute that to our parents. It's never been an issue.
My parents were basically my mentors, and the only thing they give is, hey, you got to work, so as long as the restaurant is open, be here.
We put in 80-hour work weeks. The store opened at, we got there at 9 o'clock, closed it out at 10:30. Just a lot of hours, really. And but when you believe and have a passion for what you're doing, it makes the days go by. And we were all young back then too, so it made it a little bit easier to get through the grind.
Everybody jokes that we surf, so our work ethics from then till now, like we still work 24/7. People assume that business owners take off and go relax after work. No, we still have to think about where the company's going to go, what direction we're going. We're constantly thinking how to be better.
In the very beginning, people were kind of like, it's a novelty, but they'll be, maybe they'll be gone tomorrow kind of a thing. And then, a couple of months later, they realized that we weren't going anywhere. We were still here, and the food was actually okay. And then they started coming in every day, and then they started bringing their stuff. And that's how the whole restaurant is decorated, because it became kind of like, instead of a surf shop restaurant. Right. So we don't sell surfboards, but pretty much this place looks like a surf shop. We chose this location in Costa Mesa because all the surf companies in the U.S. back in the late 80s, early 90s were all headquartered around here. So we had Quicksilver, Billabong, and some of the biggest companies right here in our backyard. So if we were going to have a surf taco themed restaurant, we needed to make sure that we cater to the people whose brands represented that. Back in the 80s, you noticed that everybody started going to the gyms, doing aerobics, actually hiring professional personal trainers. Nobody wanted to be heavy. People wanted to be healthy. And the whole trend was about grilling meats and grilling fish. So we thought, you know what? I think if we grill our fish tacos, we'll be very successful. About 6 months into the business, going into the first summer, we could see our business picking up to where we were making money. And the fact that all of the people in the surf industry were now behind us. They were coming in every day, and basically the first U.S. Open of surfing that took place years ago, people really bought into the idea because this was the place for surfers. Company-wide, I think we got about 1,500 employees, with about 500 to 600 in our corporate structure, because the rest are all in the franchise business, and there's about 15 of us here at corporate. We opened the first location in '88. It took us a year and a half to open the second location, and it took us about $89,000 to open the second location in Laguna Beach. Well, originally, how we started looking for locations were customers telling us that they were driving too far. So we would tell them, where are you driving from? And then we would go and look at the area and go, hey, maybe this could be a good location for another Wahoo's. Actually, the first franchise we did was back in the mid-90s. A buddy of mine was moving back from California to Colorado, and I like to snowboard. So I thought, if we do something in Colorado, let's see if our concept can do well outside of the beach locations. So we opened a store in downtown Denver, and Mike has now got 13 stores, so he did really, really well for us. Wahoo's is a private company right now, a family-owned business. After talking to a lot of people that have gone public, going public is a whole different ballgame, because you really have to have a lot of infrastructure, and infrastructure just means more overhead. And if you're ever going to go public, California is not exactly the best state to do it in. In the year 2000, Merrill Lynch decided to make us their poster child. They ended up giving us somewhere upwards of $50 to $60 million to make us their poster child. So with that kind of a marketing behind you, national, our numbers literally went through the roof. Between corporate and franchises, we are in 4 different states. We have about 58 stores. The company as a whole, if you include all of our franchises, we're probably approaching about 70 to 75 million in sales right now.
I don't think we could have ever imagined that 22 years later we'd have over 55 stores. Back then it was a simple plan: 3 brothers getting together, having a place to go to work, pay some bills, get some surf when we have some time, and any more than 1 store is above and beyond, I think, any plans that we had.
In the next 5 years, we'd like to be at least 100 stores, which means almost doubling our size right now, and maybe 10 years be up to maybe 500 stores. I don't think it's too crazy. We got a lot of interest. It's just a matter of the economics, making sure that we get into the right locations where you can actually grow and make some money.
We believe that franchising is where our future growth is going to be, and also because it requires less of our capital, we'll be able to expand a lot faster, and also a greater geographic footprint to the East Coast and other states.
10 years from now, maybe one of my kids is ready to go, or one of my nieces or nephews ready to take over and start running the company. And then, so I envision that I would love to be able to pass this on to the next generation somehow.
Many doubted that they would last, but after 22 years, Wahoo's Fish Tacos has left their footprint in the restaurant business. What was once looked at as a fad was now considered the real deal.
Everybody looks at our lifestyles today and they forget that this is 22 years of making. I mean, we've been doing this for 22 years and I'm still catering.
No, it's one of the things about being your own boss. You gotta have conviction, passion, and you gotta be a firm believer in what you're doing. So you can never second guess what you're doing, because if you do, everybody else behind you does the same thing. So I always thought, you know what, tomorrow's gonna get better and better and better, and it did.
As I mentioned, we grew up in the restaurant business, so running this by instinct was easy. There weren't things like, inventory forms, manuals. Everything was just sort of based upon our collective experience in the industry. So now it looks a lot different. You walk in the store, there is a manual. There's a lot of paperwork for a new employee to sign before he gets to flip tacos. Even
as a business owner, even though we work 24/7, I can bend my schedule to meet my family, my personal family schedule. So if I have a kid in a game, I can take off and go watch them, come back. And then I still get to do the thing I love the most, and I still spend quality time out in the surf. And because we did it, Wing has done a great job sort of connecting us to the surf industry. I get to surf with all the friends that we've grown up with. I mean, so that to me is like the greatest privilege of having family and doing the thing I love the most, and that's surfing.
The biggest benefit, I think, of owning your own business and for us running Wahoo's is that you're in control of your own destiny, good or bad. You know that all the work that you put into it, you'll get back out. It may take a while, it wasn't successful from day one, but I think, in the back of your mind that if you show up every day and put in 110, that good things will happen.
Now this is as good of a fish as you're gonna ever get in any restaurant. This is the real deal, Wahoo's Fish Taco right here.
Coming up, Stance Socks looks to brand an ordinary product, staying a step ahead of the game. Socks, something that we overlook on a daily basis, but in 2009, a group of action sports industry veterans came together creating Stance Socks, a company based on an ordinary product with a brand new twist.
We started the business in December of 2009, and we got the idea because we were at Skull Candy, which was an example of a company that took a category of headphones that was highly generic when it started and created a branded company out of it. And we started brainstorming, Rick and I, the other categories that might have similar characteristics to headphones that were mostly generic, and maybe there was an opportunity to put a brand around it and sell it in skateboard shops. And so we looked at a lot of categories, and ultimately Rick had the idea of socks, and we both, I think, really gravitated to that the more and more we thought about it.
So we decided on the sock category because we felt like there was a big void there. You have in the, call it the board sports market, surf, skate, snow, and even the kind of fashion streetwear markets, you have all these retailers and manufacturers that are either focused on footwear or apparel. And of course they have accessories like eyewear and watches and things like that, but the two big categories are footwear and apparel. But when it comes time to try to find a pair of socks in those retailers, you just couldn't really find it. If they did have them, they would put them in baskets on the floor, or they'd be stuffed with the wallets and the belts. And there was no focus on the category. There was no real estate being dedicated to it. And yet they were selling tons of shoes and loads of apparel. And we felt like that was business that the retailer was letting walk out the door. And there was this opportunity to bring new dollars to their floor and to create a category. So it was just that, that void in the market by retailer and manufacturer that we felt like presented the opportunity to get after the sock business. yeah, there's never been a company that has focused on socks in the action sports industry, and I think that in and of itself presents the opportunity for success. Because, as I mentioned before, there's a void in the market. There's not a void in the market for people who wear socks. The entire market consists of every individual wears socks. So it's really a matter of getting after it the right way and being able to engage the consumer in such a manner that they want to be a part of what we're doing. And so I think it's that void and that miss in the market that presents the opportunity for success. Now, long-term success is obviously what's going to be key to what we're doing. And there's a lot of different things that we'll do over time to make sure that we have that long-term success.
We founded the company in specialty retail, mostly the action sports space, skateboarding, snowboarding, surfing. We've just recently launched our whole international division. So we've got in Canada, Europe, soon Japan. So that's the widest part of the distribution, I guess, would be the global aspect, and of which is growing. With socks, I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth outside of just the core market, because it is socks and it's not such a specialty item.
The big advantage of being first within a category is with that first mover status, if you do it right, you can become synonymous with the category. And when you become synonymous with the category, I think that really is a powerful spot to be in the consumer's mind and in the market's mind. And I think that allows you to really build and create the category and the business. But I also think it helps lead to longevity, which is really important, because you want to be able to grow your business over the long haul and remain profitable doing that. And I think that first mover advantage and that being synonymous with the category helps out a lot.
So the way that we convinced the retailers to take the socks was really twofold. First, we leveraged our credibility and our track record from prior ventures. So when we first started the business, we let some of the other folks in the industry where we had friendships invest in the company. The founders of Reef, the founder of Nixon, at the time the president of the Outdoor Coalition at the North Face, and a lot of guys that had worked in the industry. And their experience, in addition to our experience, we had great relationships with the owners of most of the key retailers and the buyers as well. So we were able to convince them, just based on our sheer track record, to take the fixtures and take the program. I think they only do that if they believe that it looks good and they believe the story. You only get to stay in their stores if you perform. We were fortunate in that we had the relationships, we could get in there, but we always knew that if kids didn't open up their wallets and buy the socks, ultimately those racks and the socks would come back. So I would say getting in for us was easier than it would be for a regular startup, but you still have to pass the test of will kids buy it? We're probably in nearly every state, and we're somewhere between 400 and 500 retail doors, and we sell specifically to specialty retailers. So they tend to be individually owned, sometimes mom and pop, skateboard, snowboard, surfboard oriented stores. We do have some fashion oriented specialty doors like a Fred Siegel or a Wish or a Bodega, that are maybe more akin to streetwear than they are skateboarding. But we've really focused on that, and once we have really established ourselves at the grassroots specialty level, then we'll start to look at our opportunities at the chain retailers.
Any good surf, skate, snow shop is going to be carrying it. We've got Nordstrom's also is going to be carrying it. You can find Stance at Hanson's, Jack's, HSS, Zoomies, just about any premium action sports retailer. Retailers have been really excited about the brand. I think they were excited to see someone come in and champion the category.
Public's reaction has been great. It's actually kind of surpassed our thoughts and initial expectations. When you have an experience where you have this concept and this idea that you think is going to be cool and that you think people are going to enjoy, and you assume based on doing some homework that there's an opportunity. It's one thing to do all that stuff within the confines of the office here. It's another thing to go to a trade show and showcase the product and the brands and see a reaction. It's another thing to get the stuff in the stores and get the acceptance from the buyers and get the acceptance from the consumer and have it sell through. And I think the one thing that has just blown us away is how many people were really kind of starving for cool socks. It's just a subject matter that I guess, for whatever reason, just hasn't really been on anybody's radar screen for the most part. But I've been blown away at how many closet sock freaks there are out there that love socks, that have tons of pairs, and that are really pumped on what we're doing. And I think the fact that it's just kind of a fresh new idea, that also I think helps the cause as well.
In a short period of time, Stance has been able to gain the credibility needed from consumers. This has led them to push the brand vigorously through the early years of the startup. A key to their rapid success has been marketing through sponsorship of athletes.
Some of the athletes that we work with are Lizard King, Theodis Beasley, Chris Cole, Andrew Reynolds in the skate side of things, and then in surf, Ford Archibald, Tanner Rosenko, Mitch Abshire, Scotty Stopnick, Tyler Warren, and then in the snow side of things, we work with Mikey LeBlanc, Jake Olsen-Elm, LMP, Todd Richards, just to name a few. I mean, we've been really, really blessed with the people that have decided to work with us.
I think our team is tight because there's a high degree of respect for one another. There's a high degree of trust in each other and what we bring to the table. And I think we all share this kind of entrepreneurial passion for creating something from nothing. And I think it's those things that really kind of bring us together and bond us. And also the fact that, we all surf and skate and snowboard. Obviously some do those things better than others, but we all kind of come up from the board sports world and we're super passionate about it. And I think that we don't really view Stance as this job or, hey, this is our work. It's really an extension of who we are as people and how we like to live our lives. And so I think it's those things that really bond us together and help make the team tight.
We all thoroughly enjoy each other's company. We're all friends outside of work. I think we all know that we can support each other and rely on each other for just about anything. And I think that builds a common bond amongst all of us here. So, at the end, I just feel real blessed to be a part of it.
I think ultimately what keeps a group tight is trust, and that comes from being trustworthy. So when you have a group of people that really honor the commitments they're making to each other and keep their word, then trust goes up. And I feel like we've had a good run at that where people have really paid attention to carrying their load and keeping their commitments. So I think that's the core of it. The fun side of it is we all share a passion for surfing and snowboarding and skateboarding. We do those things together. But ultimately that only gets you so far. The passion is great, but ultimately you gotta have trustworthy people in your culture.
For updates and prizes, follow us on Twitter at WTB Show.
This episode was made possible by Qualcomm. Qualcomm celebrates Southern California's most innovative thinkers. To learn more about the entrepreneurial ideas and bold imaginations that drive the future of digital communications, visit Qualcomm.com.